Welcome to Saturday Morning. I'm Kelly Bennett. This is Gary Bergeson.
Yes, it is. How are you? How's it going?
Thanks you all for joining us. Today's show, we have a great artist coming in, David Benoit. What a pianist. And I want to tell you, the aspect behind this guy's music is amazing. And I want to say that his music obviously touches everyone. Right?
Yes, it does. He's a brilliant artist and performs in a lot of different musical styles. He's performed with symphonies. He's performed with jazz combos and full bands, big band stuff. He does it all. He covers the entire musical spectrum.
And this show, what we're going to be doing is showing the educational aspect behind his work, and hopefully we're going to be able to mentor some of those children and teenagers in the city so that we can show them what they can do or what can they aspire to.
I think we're on the right track.
We are, and we cannot wait to bring him out. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for being here.
And let's bring out David Benoit.
Yeah, baby. For sure.
So your education went to a one-on-one piano teacher, or did you take it in school? Or?
I had one-on-one lessons with a piano teacher, and he had a background in jazz, so a lot of my lessons were about jazz. And then I worked with a classical teacher in high school that was strictly technique and classical music, so I worked very hard on developing a classical technique. And then as I got older, I studied at UCLA film scoring, and then with the head of the conducting department was my longtime conducting teacher, Dr. Jan Robertson. So it's just been independent. I don't have a music degree, although I've thought about...
But you took a lot of classes in music.
Yeah, a lot of classes when I needed them in music. Yeah.
So if you're talking to a young person about getting into music, talk about the educational aspect in regards to what they would need to do to, obviously learn music. If they have an ear for it, that's great. But educational aspect is also good too.
It is good, and also remember that when I was growing up, the music business was a very different place in the early 70s. And there were jobs everywhere, whether it was in a Holiday Inn 6 nights a week, playing in the lounge, or it was playing at someone's birthday party. Everybody needed live musicians. And so, and I paid dues for years, hauling my Fender Rhodes electric piano up flights of stairs and playing. As a result, and I think it's a good result that I know a lot of standards, a lot of tunes, because I did that. But I say nowadays for kids, now you really have to go into higher education. Especially, you need so many skills as a musician to be able to sight read, to compose, to arrange, to produce, like especially nowadays, video games, scoring. That's a huge industry now, and I encourage a lot of kids to go towards that. But it's not just
really writing
music
for
video games.
Yeah, for
huge.
sure. It's like a
Isn't that cool? It's just no longer enough to be a good musician and be able to play great. You need much more in this real competitive society. And in fact, we're talking even off stage that I have a group, the Asia America Youth Orchestra, and I have the classical kids and the jazz kids all in the same orchestra. It's about 80 pieces, and I get them to get the jazz kids. Okay, you got to learn to. It's kind of it's two like totally different schools of thought. Me having lived in both.
And they get along.
Yeah, they do for the most part. Getting the jazz kids to play classical, getting them to sight read, getting the classical kids to swing, to learn how to that's actually harder.
Really?
But I had, like last year, I had a little violist, he raised his hand, he wanted to improvise. So I gave him I said, why not? And his first solo was a little, beginning. But he developed, and what's exciting is to see the kids get excited about music and be able to learn all kinds of music, because especially as kids, they tend to get segregated into one kind. Well, I play rock and roll, or I play jazz. Play it all, man. I mean, learn as a musician to play
my first
anything.
I've written lots of songs for Tamara, but this is my favorite, so I'm going to do Our First Dance for you right now.
Oh, beautiful. Warren Hill, everybody.
But anyway, it was being away from music for a year. I went to University of Toronto to study physics and engineering and stuff. And being away from that is what really made me realize that it was my passion. So I came home one day, I think after midterms, and Mom, Dad, guess what? I secretly applied to Berkeley in Boston, and I got a scholarship, and it's not going to cost anyone anything. I'm going to go to music next year.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And it was a big shock.
But
and then eventually they came around, and now
But,
they're
I mean,
my
that-
number one
that-
supporters. So. God, I mean,
How did you get the scholarship? What did you do? I mean,
I just
did
applied.
I know, but a scholarship, that's a lot of money.
That's one of the things, you know.
What did you do to, I mean, you obviously had to say something.
Oh yeah, I had
or-
to. You fill out the thing, and I had to send a tape in. I had
Right.
to make a tape.
That's what I was going to say. You had to
like an
audition
audition
somehow.
tape. Yep.
Yeah.
And also Canada has a this great program. It was an Arts Council grant thing, and I applied for that as well.
Okay.
And so Canada helped pay for my U.S. education. Thank you, Canada.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Nice.
good.
Talk about the graduation. That was a huge thing for you. But the whole the ceremony itself is really obviously different than.
Yeah, we had. They always honor some big musicians on in the commencement concert, and when I graduated, it was Dave Grusin and Joe Williams, and then there's a band, and we get to back them up. You know, they come out and play a couple numbers, and when we did. The Grusin medley, I think like the Tootsie theme was in there or something.
Oh, is that right?
And I had to get up and play a big solo on it. I couldn't even imagine, I can't remember how it goes. But,
From
and
Tootsie.
yeah, like, I know, right?
Okay.
Maybe I just played the theme or something. And it's going on my next record, actually. It's going to be huge.
Good.
But I had a few solos there, and after the show, I was going out front of the Berkeley Theater, where we held it, looking for my parents, and these two guys approached me, and it was a guy named Michael Gorfain, who's a big film agent and for music, and a guy named Russ Titleman, who's a big-time record producer, Ricky Lee Jones, James Taylor, Stevie Winwood, you know, and he said, "Hey, I loved your playing," and he says, "I'm working on the new Shaka Khan record, and I wondered if you wanted to play on it." I'm like, you know, I just graduated. I mean, that's all I wanted to do was play on records like that. And I said, right now?
Yeah, right.
Well, graduation was I 20, maybe one or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So 3 years ago. And anyway, of course I said yes, and I thought it was literally going to be like the next day or something. And he said, well, I'll call you. So the next month of my life was like literally like waiting for this call. And then it finally came in, and he said, yeah, we're ready. Come down to Connecticut and do this thing. So I get there, I meet Shaka. She was amazing, and I'm recording the session. You know, I'm just playing. They had on 2 songs on the record. But before we started, Russ I don't know if he was doing this to intimidate me or just, you know, scare the bejeebers out of me. But he starts playing me all these tracks from the record. Listen to this one. Listen to this one. This one has Stevie Wonder on it. Listen to this one. There's Grusin on this one. And there's Prince. Oh, and there's Luther Vandross. And who else? And then as he's listening, his assistant runs in. He goes, "Miles' manager's on the phone." And I'm like, "Miles Davis?" And Russ is like, "Yeah, it's Miles Davis. We're trying to get him on the record, and we've been negotiating like all day." He says, but I'm going to take the call. You go in and start playing your sax,
Oh,
right?
man.
So I'm in. I'm just completely. What am I doing on this record with all these people? This is amazing. It's my first session ever, you know. Yeah. And so I'm playing and playing, and Russ keeps coming back and forth in the studio, and he keeps getting interrupted because Miles's manager keeps calling him back. And I'm like, you know, kind of this afterthought of what's going on in this drama throughout the day. Sure enough, you know, we finally finished, and then Russ says, okay, that was awesome. I got to go. We're recording Miles tonight in New York.
Oh,
and
man.
we got to hustle and get in there now. And, you know, so I feel that was the closest I ever got to Miles Davis, you know.
It's a great story.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad that you could be here. We are going to be having more artists, more musicians, and more celebrities on so they can tell us their educational background as well as how they are doing what they're doing now and how they got there. So those teachers that are out there, if you've got students either in junior high, high school, or even college age, bring them down here because we're going to be talking to them. We'll also have a Q&A session. So where else can you go to actually see these artists on stage, hear them play, and also listen to their background and find out how they got to where they are today?
Exactly.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.